please, for the love of God, just run the ball. It's the one sentence that we yell at our TV more than anything else every season. If you have a lead late, run the ball. If you're getting too cute on offense and you take a bunch of bad sacks, run the ball. If you're on the goal line in the Super Bowl and you have Marshawn Lynch, run the damn ball.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
But what does it actually mean to establish the run? Like, do you have to be good at running for the run to be established? And once the run is established, does that actually make it easier to throw, or does it just feel like it does? How does play action change with the success or failure of a run game? How do the passing concepts themselves change? We've heard the same analysis over and over and over on TV for decades now, but which parts of that analysis are even true? And of the things that actually are true, are they even true for the reasons we think they are? Full disclosure, this video started out being like 4 minutes on whether or not paying a center $27 million a year is a good idea. More on that later. But I kind of tripped and fell down several rabbit holes along the way. So buckle up, get comfortable, because today I am dragging you down into this abyss with me. Our journey today starts in a very unexpected place, or maybe actually very expected if you're a longtime subscriber, because we're talking about niche special teams rule changes. Yes, I'm serious, it starts there. I have talked at length before on here about how changes to the kickoff rules a couple years ago could have massive implications on the other two phases of the sport. And we've already seen some of those implications play out in a big way. 10 years ago, the average starting field position after receiving a kickoff was at the 22.5-yard line. But today, after multiple changes to the structure of kickoffs, which I also conveniently did a video on last year that you can check out later, the average starting field position after kickoffs now with those new rules is almost the 31-yard line. Those 8.5 yards of free extra field position on every possession following a kickoff are huge, because naturally, the better your starting field position is, the more likely you are to score on that drive. Just look at the progression of the average scoring drive percentage across the league. A decade ago, 34.3% of all offensive possessions resulted in a score, but by 2025, nearly 40% of all possessions resulted in a score. And the percentages of just touchdown drives alone have risen as well, from 20.3% to 23.2%. With a shorter average distance now that teams have to advance the ball to get into quote-unquote shot territory in the middle of the field, it's become more important than ever to just run the ball well, get at least one first down so you can get out to your own 40-yard line, if not a little bit further, and then from there, you're just one explosive play away from getting to the other 40-yard line, which for many kickers across the league, that's makeable field goal range. These changes, not just in average starting field position, but also overall kicking effectiveness, are a big reason why any drive that gets an explosive play in the first 3 plays of the possession, that drive scores 62.3% of the time. You just don't have to go that far anymore to get into scoring range. Furthermore, if you get an explosive play on the 4th play of the drive, which kind of implies the type of drive we just described, where you get a first down and then you get an explosive, those types of possessions score at a 71.6% rate, and it only goes up from there. If you get an explosive on the 5th play of a possession, those drives score at a 77.5% rate, and if you get an explosive on the 6th play of a possession, it spikes even harder up to 81.6%. Average starting field position is just so good right now that basically the only way you even can have a truly terrible offense is if you just never even get to shot territory in the middle of the field in the first place, and you're just constantly going 3 and out on your own side. Just take a look at all the teams in the top 10 last season in terms of 3 and outs per game. Or I guess this would be bottom 10 because they're all bad. It's a lot of the teams that you would probably expect: Tennessee, Cleveland, Miami, the Jets, plus maybe a couple that you wouldn't expect, like the Broncos and Texans, who were both very inconsistent offenses overall, but their defenses were so good that it kind of didn't matter. 5 of the 8 worst teams in the league in terms of points per game are on this list. Again, as you might expect. But more importantly, for our purposes today, 6 of these 10 were also bottom 10 in another list, the 10 worst teams in the league in rushing success rate. And that right there is where we get into the crux of today's show. Because if your offense is really bad at running the ball, and in particular, if they're bad at running the ball on first down, that means that you're going to be way more predictable, statistically speaking, on second down. And if you're predictable on second down, that means the types of defenses that you face on second down, like I'm talking the structures of the defense that you face, as well as just the way that defenders are going to play their assignments within those structures, it's all going to be wildly different in second and long compared to, say, second and medium. And we have data to back that up. One of the oldest platitudes in football is that if you run the ball well, it sets up the pass. Defenses will put a safety in the box, linebackers will fly downhill to stop the run, and you'll be able to beat those defenses over the top with explosive passes off play action. Those are the same talking points we hear on TV every single Sunday in the fall. And they are correct on the surface, but the real truth is buried several layers deep. Hi, alternate timeline Brett here, recording this on an entirely different date, as you can tell by my different clothes and hair and background and everything else. I literally just finished moving for like the 5th off season in a row. I just got my recording setup together, and I decided the first thing I was going to do in my new residence was record a Factor ad read, as one does. I would not have actually been able to get through this week without Factor. Like, this is not me bullshitting you. I didn't have time to go to the store. I had to unbox and unbox and unbox, and I didn't know where any of my cooking stuff was because I'm a dumbass and didn't label my boxes. Please label your boxes. It makes your life easier. But I couldn't cook for the first couple days because I didn't know where anything was. So I had Factor. Luckily, the shipment came literally the day before I moved. So I had meals to live off this week, and it came in clutch. So if you find yourself, maybe not moving, but if you have a situation where you just need something that tastes good and is made with real ingredients, and you don't have to go to the store and like meal prep and do the whole process of cooking. You just want something that heats up in the microwave in literally 2 minutes and satisfies you. Like, even if it's just lunches for work or school or whatever, I think Factor could help you out. Like, it got me through moving week. I think it can get you through a random Wednesday lunch. There's literally 100 different rotating meal options. You can get whatever kind of food you want, like any kind of protein you want. I tend to gravitate towards the chicken myself, like that creamy Parmesan chicken and then the jalapeno cheddar chicken. I get it every single time. Always a banger. But whatever you like to eat, they've probably got it in the rotating menu. So go check it out on their website, see what they have available. If you want to try it out, you can go to factor75.com at the link in the description below. Use the QR code on the screen if you're just that lazy. When you get there, use my promo code FilmRoomFDG. The FDG stands for free daily greens. You're going to get extra free daily greens plus 50% off your order. Again, promo code FilmRoomFDG at factor75.com. You're going to get free daily greens and a 50% discount. Thank you once again to Factor for making my move as smooth as humanly possible. It could have gone a lot worse than it actually did. So anyway, I'm going to get back to unboxing stuff, and eventually I'll finish whatever episode this is attached to. This next part might sound like a word salad at first, but just follow me here. I promise it'll make sense in the end. When a defense bites on a run fake, it's usually not because the offense is running the ball well or not well. Usually when they're biting on that run fake, it's because the offense has run the ball enough to put them into a down and distance that is statistically more likely to be run on again. Like, they're just playing run pass percentages. That's really all it is. It's just math. And in order to illustrate that point, how about we look at second down run pass rates based on the success or failure of a first down run. That, I think, will illustrate this point a little bit easier. If a run on first down went for no gain or a loss, the average NFL offense last year ran the ball again on second down just 29.2% of the time, which means they threw the ball a little bit over 70% of the time, which you would probably expect in a second and very long situation. Now, if that first down run gained just 1 to 3 yards, which most people would not consider a successful run, but at least they gained something, that run rate on second down held steady at just 29.6%. So whether or not you get no gain or a loss or even just a short gain, you're generally still going to pass the ball about 70 to 71% of the time on second and long. But if that first down run was successful at quote unquote staying on schedule, the average second down run rate after a first down run of 4 to 6 yards spiked hard up to 48.3%. And it spiked even harder after a first down run of 7 to 9 yards, all the way up to 69.8%. That number right there is critical. You would think that conventional wisdom would be that when teams get into second and short, they'll just call a pass play and go for an explosive gain, because even if they miss it and it falls incomplete, no biggie. It's still going to be third and short, and they're still going to be likely to pick it up anyway. But that's not what NFL teams do. If they get in a second and short, the vast majority of the time, they'll just run the ball again and try to get a fresh set of downs, because efficiency is everything to these people. And if that second down run worked, by the way, statistically speaking, they're just going to run it again and again and again until they get stopped once. And they're really only going to throw it if they end up in a down and distance that is not favorable to running. Those run pass rates in certain downs and distances are what defenses are reacting to. They're not really reacting to the running back getting 5 yards per carry and saying, oh, I guess we got to play cover 3 now. Like, that's not how this works. They're reacting to the fact that the offense got a 5-yard gain on first down, regardless of how it happened. Now you're in 2nd and 5. The run pass rates are favoring the run, or maybe just the team that you're playing against all year long. If they're in second and medium, they're running, 60% of the time or whatever it is. That's the percentages that you're playing against. You don't care what the running back is doing. You just care about whatever situation you're in right now and what the math is telling you. Like, even if Derrick Henry's getting 2 yards per carry, I'll just use him as an example, but he gets a 7-yard run on first down, now it's in 2nd and 3, the Ravens are probably going to run on 2nd and 3, so you're just playing against those percentages. That's what makes you play cover 3. Like, it's just math here, that's all it is. There's a coaching term for different kinds of defensive structures known as middle field closed or middle field open. You have to know that to understand this next section. Middle field closed just means there's a deep safety in the middle of the field, closing it for business, so to speak, and the other safety is typically dropped down into the box and he's an integral part of stopping the run. Cover 3 and cover 1 are the two most common coverages associated with that middle field closed umbrella, so we'll just kind of batch them together. While middle field open structures are commonly associated with things like quarters and cover 2, because the middle of the field is open, so we're going to batch those together as well. Now, going back to our second down and distance data, the amount of run-stopping middle field closed coverages that teams face, meaning cover 3 and cover 1, the amount of those that they face on second down is directly dictated by the success or failure of their run game on first down. After a first down run of no gain or a loss, meaning they're now in second and very long, defenses face middle field closed structures just 37.7% of the time on average. So the majority of defenses they face would actually not be considered a packed box, which seems fairly obvious. If you remember, on second and forever, teams throw the ball about 70% of the time, so the offense is likely going to pass to get back on schedule. You're going to play a pass defense in a pass situation. But after a first down run of just 1 to 3 yards, which if you remember, the run pass rate really wasn't that different between a gain of 1 to 3 yards or a no gain or a loss, the middle field close rate still jumps significantly up to 50.4%. So even though the run pass rates don't shift that much, teams are way more cognizant of a run there, even if the run on first down wasn't successful. Why is that? Well, if you're in 2nd and 7 and you still have 2 plays to get a first down, in theory, or if you're in the middle of the field, you might have 3 plays to get a first down if you're in no man's land, teams are thinking that you're more willing to run the ball in 2nd and 7 because if you still fail, you still got 1 more play. So they're just going to play cover 3 and prioritize stopping the run until they know that you have to throw. Now, after a first down run of 4 to 6 yards, that middle field close rate jumps again up to nearly 59%, and then it jumps even more significantly up to 63% after first down runs that gain 7 to 9 yards. So if you'll notice, those jumps in coverages that are traditionally used to stop the run first directly correlate to the jumps in run rate in those downs and distances. And those jumps in run rate have directly correlated to the result of whatever happened on first down. Defensive coordinators, at least the really good ones, are building their game plans off of these percentages. That's like half the job. They're just scouting tendencies. They're looking at how often you're running the ball versus throwing the ball in certain downs and distances, certain areas of the field, certain personnel groupings, Y on versus Y off. I mean, they're looking at 4-minute, 2-minute, red zone, sudden change situations, drive starter situations, like every little niche tendency stat you can think of. That's what they're building their game plan on.
Moving into second down, we really break up second down into 3 categories. And so what I would call like normal down, second down, in the 1 to 6 is very generic. Could be different based on who the play caller is. Could be 1 to 7, could be 1 to 8, could be 1 to 5. And so we try to find that break on second down, what we would consider to be second and long, which may change their tendencies. But a lot of people right now, because of analytics and because of, hey, keep the chains moving, like second and 1 to 3, they just want to keep the sticks moving and avoid third down really altogether.
And believe me, offensive coordinators that can self-scout their own tendencies and they know how defenses are going to play against them because they know their numbers are what they are, those are the ones that end up being really explosive play-action pass games because they know exactly how to show the cheese to the rat before they spring the trap. Take Baltimore and Seattle last year as an example. In 2025, they were both the 2 lowest teams in the NFL in terms of pass play percentage on second and medium distances following that successful first down run, the situation we laid out earlier. In those second and mediums, they ran the ball more than anyone else, and yet despite not throwing it a lot, they were also the top 2 teams in explosive pass rate in those situations. Why, you may ask? Because teams were playing those percentages every time they were in second and medium, and Baltimore and Seattle knew it. They ran in those situations a lot, and to stop those second and medium runs, defenses were completely selling out, sometimes even run blitzing them to try to get a tackle for loss and at least attempt to push them back into third and long. And both of them would punish that aggression relentlessly with play action passes. They were very, very good at it. Which, by the way, speaking of play action passes, as you might have guessed, those on average have a higher explosive pass rate than normal, traditional, non-play action passes do. I think that's fairly common sense. But what you might not have guessed is that most play action passes are actually not deep shots down the field. In fact, non-play action passes actually have a higher deep target percentage than actual play action passes do. And also, play action passes are generally better for generating yards after the catch. Like the average play action pass has a higher average yards after the catch per completion number than non-play action passes do. So it's kind of flipped around from what people expect. So much of the play action passing game is just about attacking space. It's not about stretching the field. You're just using the linebackers, anticipating the run pass percentages against them. You're giving them a false affirmation of those percentages by showing them the fake. You're getting them to just take a step or 2 in the wrong direction, to freeze in the wrong spot for just a fraction of a second so that they're not in your window over the middle. Or maybe they're just a hair late to get to the sideline to choke off the angle of a receiver that's getting easy yards after the catch. Play action works when run pass rates are in your favor and you're on schedule. You don't even have to be on schedule all the time. You just have to be on schedule enough times in one game to make those run pass percentages matter. Let's just go through a scenario here. Let's just pretend that your running back room as a whole gets 22 carries in a game, but they only get 58 yards on those 22 carries. It's only 2.6 yards per carry. Not exactly ideal. And you would think that with the run game doing poorly, the play action pass game would also do poorly. That sounds like it makes sense, but you'd actually be wrong. That exact scenario really did happen last year with Seattle in Week 6 against the Jaguars. And on that day, even though the Seahawks got absolutely nothing on the ground all day long, they still led the league that week with over 180 passing yards just off play action alone. They had almost 23 yards per attempt on play action. They led the league in EPA per play on play action that week. They had 4 explosive play action completions. Their lack of a run game did not matter. What did matter is that they still tried to run the ball even when it wasn't working. They established the run. They showed that Jags defense the cheese over and over and over again to draw them deeper into the trap. And on that note, by the way, this is not just me shitting on the Jags. They did what you're supposed to do. Outside of 5 plays in that game, they actually had a pretty good plan. They were just playing the percentages. They were going after the Seahawks run game in downs and distances where the Seahawks like to run. That's what you're supposed to do. It's just that Klint Kubiak and the Seahawks knew they were going to do that and used it against them. 3 of those 4 explosive play action completions for Seattle came on first down, which if you look at the percentages, over the course of the season leading up to that game, Seattle was 4th in run rate on first down at just over 56%. The Jags had it in their heads that this team was going to try to run the ball whenever they got a fresh set of downs. And for most of the game, that assumption was correct. Until, obviously, it wasn't. In a sense, you could say that no, a good pass game does not rely on a good run game to be effective, because you can still have a good pass game even if you don't have a good run game. But I would argue that a good run game is what supercharges a pass game. If you run the ball well, and in particular run the ball well on first down, that means your second downs are more manageable. And if your second downs are more manageable, that means your run pass rates are more ambiguous, which means you have more options as an offense, potentially makes your third downs easier. And if your third downs are easier, that means you're moving the chains more. And if you're moving the chains more, that means you have longer drives. And if you have longer drives, that means you have a wider surface area of plays to work with to get an explosive gain. And if you get an explosive gain, you're more likely for the drive to score. All that to say, if you run the ball well, you're probably going to extend your drives. And if you extend your drives, you're going to get more explosives. And if you get more explosives, you're going to score more. And if you score more, you're probably going to win more. Does that make sense? Now, how does that possibly tie into the original root of this episode, which is whether or not Tyler Linderbaum is worth $27 million a year? Well, the Ravens were incredibly good at first down runs last year, and you can see how I started to fall down this rabbit hole. Linderbaum was a big part of those first down rushing successes, and Klint Kubiak obviously liked having a strong first down run game in Seattle because that is what set up his explosive play action pass game. At the end of the day, we're talking about a center who's really good at blocking on wide zone runs, going to a team that's going to be running a lot of wide zone, and that team really needs those wide zone runs to work more consistently so they can maximize the best wrinkles of their passing game. From that vantage point, it all kind of makes sense. Now, do I think the Linderbaum deal is going to open the floodgates and suddenly every center's getting $27 million? No, probably not. But I do think that deal was part of a larger trend that we've seen developing over the last couple years. Teams have spent really big money trying to improve their run games, whether it was bringing in free agent running backs or expensive free agent offensive linemen, or in some cases, even paying big bucks to blocking tight ends. The pendulum of the league is rapidly swinging back to those mid-2000s glory days of drafting running backs high and paying them. Saquon, King Henry, and CMC again in recent years, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and Breece Hall this year, not to mention the looming Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs deals coming up that are probably going to shatter the market again. All of these guys, and the men blocking for them, are getting paid big money, and that's largely because the league has finally rediscovered the fundamental truth of the sport. If all else fails, whenever the chips are down, just run the damn ball.